From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Together again, family members finally seeing one another 7 weeks after being separated at the Arizona-Mexico border.
President Donald Trump says he does not believe Russia is targeting the U.S. Arizona lawmakers disagree and join a growing backlash against Russia working to influence our elections.
And low unemployment rates mean fewer people get behind the wheel. How the trucking industry is driving toward difficulty.
Cronkite News starts now.
News on Arizona PBS, I'm Cariño Haro.
And I'm Maya Petros. Thank you for joining us. The government continues to work toward reuniting immigrant families that were separated at the border as part of the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy on border crossers.
It's been slow going, but for those families that are reunited, it's a joyous event, as Danny Coble in our Washington Bureau witnessed this week.
It's not unusual to see eager family members awaiting their loved ones at the airport gate. But when I met Miguel Calix last night at Reagan National Airport, he was particularly anxious.
I feel nervous, like I never think I will see her again.
For Miguel Calix, waiting for the 8:30 flight from Phoenix Tuesday was a moment he didn't think was going to happen. On June 1st, Miguel's wife Wendy and their 2 daughters crossed the Arizona border seeking asylum in the U.S. 2 days later, the mother and daughters were separated and the girls placed in a migrant care facility in Phoenix.
It's like they teach us, but sometimes we are just scared because they told us bad news. So we don't know what will happen with us.
16-year-old Francis and 3-year-old Alicia were able to spend part of every day with each other, but contact with their mother was limited to a 10 to 15-minute phone call per week.
I couldn't see them physically. I could only speak with them, but for very little. Mostly with my older daughter, because my younger daughter was always sleeping, or sometimes she didn't want to talk to me. Sometimes she said I didn't want her. It was traumatic.
She was reunited Monday in Arizona with her girls after 45 days apart. The reunification came after Miguel contacted Nexus Derechos Humanos, which threatened legal action if the family was not reunited.
Be persistent in bothering both the officials at the facilities once we found out where they were, and just being persistent with those in power and saying we need to get this family back together.
Blanton could not say where the immigration status of Santos and her girls stand, but that does not appear to be on the mind of the family or other travelers who witnessed the reunification.
But it's such a good news, to see that. I asked one of the reporters what it was all about, and they told me they got reunited. So I thought it was one of the neatest things in the world. So today I feel like it's just a good day for me.
Calix told us that the family has few plans besides going home and spending time together and going shopping to supplement the one bag his wife and daughters managed to bring with them from Honduras. In Washington, Danny Coble, Cronkite News.
The government is working to reunite all the families that were separated. Right now, there are dozens of children under the age of 5 that the Department of Justice is working to reunify. The government has another July 26 deadline to reunite separated children ages 5 to 17 with their families, which means the DOJ has 8 days to reunite as many as 2,500 kids.
And for the second time in 2 weeks, a Democratic gubernatorial candidate takes aim at migrant detention facilities here in Phoenix. Allison Snell reports on some alarming allegations made this afternoon.
Today, Democratic State Senator Steve Farley claims that kids were being housed at an unlicensed facility here in Phoenix, a building that was leased by a federal contractor. Farley, who is running for governor, spoke in front of the building off of Indian School and 20th Street. There are no children there today, and the building is vacant. Farley claims that he has evidence that where the kids were kept and believes more companies could be breaking the law.
Where else is this happening in Arizona? And here we are today, we've discovered another one. It shouldn't have to take journalists to figure out what's going on. We have procedures in the state of Arizona to go after unlicensed daycare, and certainly in this case.
Last week, a Phoenix office building near 20th Street in Osborne was found to be housing migrant children. That building is now vacant. Farley says more humane immigration policies need to be put in place to stop illegal detention facilities. Allison Snell, Cronkite News.
Immigration is expected to be a top issue for voters. Political pundits think this could be the year that Arizona turns blue. A recent poll from Politico shows Kyrsten Sinema is leading the poll for the Senate. Meanwhile, Governor Doug Ducey is about dead even when it comes to facing any Democratic candidate. Arizona has only elected one Democratic governor in the past 35 years.
There's been no president ever as tough as I have been on Russia. All you have to do is look at the numbers, look at what we've done, look at sanctions, look at ambassadors not there, look, unfortunately, at what happened in Syria recently. And I think President Putin knows that better than anybody, certainly a lot better than the media.
That was President Trump speaking today at a cabinet meeting. It's his third statement within days of his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin regarding the relationship between the U.S. and Russia. Trump sparked a furor Monday when he told the Russian leader that he saw no reason to believe Russia interfered in the 2016 elections. On Tuesday, Trump said he misspoke at the Helsinki summit. But the issue is not going away, as Pat Pobletti reports from our Washington bureau.
The debate over what the president said and what he meant continued today after Trump appeared to say that he does not think that Russia plays a future elections threat, and his aides said that he does. On Capitol Hill, though, the White House is not going to be able to talk its way out of this controversy.
This president's walk back is absolutely ridiculous, and I'm sure you've all seen that. It does not undo the damage that he's done on the world stage.
Congressman Mike Thompson joined 5 other House military veterans to criticize the president's comments. Thompson was referring specifically to Trump's attempt Tuesday to defuse the situation.
In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, or why it wouldn't be Russia. So
those comments came in response to a wave of bipartisan criticism over his remarks at a press conference with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Arizona Representative Ruben Gallego, a former Marine who served a tour of duty in Iraq, said today that the president's walkback was not acceptable.
The fact that this president believes that by just saying, that he missed putting the apostrophe in the right area, that he now somehow fixes this massive problem is not the solutions.
Gallego, Thompson, and the others at today's press conference are all Democrats, but the criticism didn't come only from one party. Republican Senator Jeff Flake expressed his disappointment this morning in the Helsinki statement.
I thought, I never thought I'd see the day when our president sided with Putin over our own intelligence agencies. So that was, really not a good day for America. And I'm still troubled by, what is being done.
Gallego went further, warning that if the Helsinki summit was any indication of how the president will conduct foreign policy, the United States risks becoming increasingly isolated in the world.
In the future, we may have to fight more wars and more wars by ourselves. That means more American veterans for wars we could have avoided. More Americans wounded mentally and physically by an unnecessary combat, all because Trump has a pattern of kowtowing to strongmen and dictators, especially people like President Putin.
Not everyone was upset with the president's performance, though. In an editorial in USA Today, Arizona Representative Andy Biggs praised Trump and said that the Helsinki summit should not be judged based on a few lines in a press conference. In Washington, Pat Pobletti, Cronkite News.
Every day, there's a chance that our first responders could experience a traumatic situation on the job.
And a nightmarish event can take a toll on one's mind and emotional state. Coming up on Cronkite News, a new measure that shows Arizona is grateful to the first responders who work to protect our communities.
Plus, help wanted. The trucking industry needs to hit the gas when it comes to hiring. Why the current driver shortage could affect us all.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickenburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland, in Washington, in Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. The 2018 election season has arrived. Join us for primary and general election debates. Right here, meet the candidates and hear their positions. Arizona Horizon, your source for what matters most this election season. Only on Arizona PBS.
6 years ago, Phoenix police officer Craig Tiger was involved in a situation in which he shot and killed a suspect. The incident left him with PTSD, and he would later take his own life. Today, the governor signed a law in Officer Tiger's name. As Amanda Mason reports, it's a measure to help first responders after they suffer a traumatic event.
It truly takes someone very special to run into a burning building when everyone else is fleeing, to run towards the sound of gunfire when everyone else is ducking for cover, to provide aid to the wounded at the risk of injury to yourself. Our peace officers and firefighters do this every day without seeking glory or reward for their actions.
Today, Officer Craig Tiger was honored 4 years after his death.
And even the toughest and bravest men and women can suffer PTSD as the result of a single event.
Officer Tiger used deadly force on the job. He then struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder, ending with him taking his own life. House Bill 2502, better known as the Officer Craig Tiger Act, was signed by the governor. The measure honors his service and shines a light on the invisible injury that many first responders can experience.
Officer Tiger has obviously a family like most first responders, including 2 children, Jaden and Jacob. And that's what this is really all about today, is to have kind of a final legacy for their father's service to the community and the price that family has borne.
We all don't want our loved ones to be forgotten. He served the city of Phoenix, and now finally he's being recognized, but with this bill being named after him, and his name will never be forgotten because he will forever be part of Arizona state law. And that is huge to myself and my children, our children.
The bill provides additional treatment for first responders diagnosed with PTSD. Some benefits include 36 days of additional treatment and 30 additional days of compensated leave time.
One of the things that came as a direct result of Officer Tiger's suicide and tragedy was the fact that we used to give 3 days off when you're involved in a lethal force encounter. Now they give you 30 days to kind of unwind. You're still allowed to come to work, but you're kind of taken offline.
And with this bill now, our hope is that it won't get that far, that we won't lose another first responder to an injury that is treatable.
In Phoenix, Amanda Mason, Cronkite News.
Catfish are biting in Arizona. State Attorney General Mark Brnovich is warning the state of online romance scams after investigators found attempts to wire thousands of dollars to overseas accounts. Scammers are taking advantage of those on dating websites and social media. They pretend to be interested in their target before getting them to send money for what they claim is for medical or travel costs. These attacks appear to originate in Ghana. The Attorney General's office was able to use a seizure warrant to stop some transfers and has returned $14,000 to victims so far.
Not all businesses can thrive in a growing economy. With more people steering into the career they want, one industry is trying to get people to turn in their direction. As Kevin Fleischman reports, the economic boom has put the brakes on the trucking industry.
Carlos Buenos is finishing up his 3rd week of truck driving school. He hopes to soon start a career as a truck driver.
Over the road for a while, get the full experience of it, enjoy it for a while, get paid to travel.
Years after the recession, the job market has grown, and the Arizona unemployment rate is under 5%. With so many collecting a paycheck, the trucking industry is struggling to find enough drivers. The average trucker age is about 50 years old, with many looking to soon retire.
The millennials would be one group specifically that really haven't maybe reached on to truck driving as a career choice, and then the females. It's a great industry for females, but less than 10% of all drivers on the road are females.
For some, the thought of handling a big rig can be intimidating.
Getting to know the gears and stuff, and the backing, you don't have windows. You got a lot of blind spots, and it's pretty intimidating.
Each day we see trucks along Arizona highways delivering goods. To make future deliveries, companies need drivers.
We're somewhere in the 30 to 40,000 range for truck drivers in the state of Arizona. You have a shortage over the next several years nationwide that's going to be about 900,000.
According to the American Trucking Association, truck drivers move more than 71% of our nation's freight a year.
If the supply can't get to the demand, price goes up. So with the shortage of truck drivers, that's one of the major things I think people should be really looking out for and really concerned about.
Many truckers choose this type of work because it gives them the freedom to travel the country while making a livable wage. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, drivers make about $42,000 a year. In Phoenix, Kevin Fleischman, Cronkite News.
Congress is now looking for answers to the shortage. A representative from California has introduced the Drive Safe Act. It's legislation that would establish a nationwide trucking apprenticeship program.
The federal government approved a new airline carrier at Prescott Municipal Airport. The Prescott City Council and Airport Advisory Committee recommended SkyWest Airlines for the airport. The length of the contract is 2 years. SkyWest's 50-seat jet aircrafts will make round-trip flights between Prescott and Denver. They will fly to and from Los Angeles every day except Saturday. Wildfires are the normal thing to see as the area heats up.
But what if we told you that we saw some fire walk on water? Coming up next, we'll show you the fiery vortex that took over the Colorado River.
And are we in the clear for monsoon storms? Your full 7-day forecast coming up.
Cronkite News, weeknights at 5 on Arizona PBS.
I'm Matt Berry, ESPN Sports Center anchor and graduate of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. With its bachelor's and master's degrees in sports journalism, the Cronkite School is preparing the next generation of sports journalists to tell stories that matter, stories that excite, inspire, and inform. Cronkite immerses students in covering sports at all levels in one of the country's top sports markets. It's this hands-on experience under the guidance of award-winning sports media veterans that shape the top journalists of tomorrow.
If you're looking for one show that tells you what happened that day in the world of business, it's NBR.
We saw a classic shipwreck.
Nordstrom's opening stores.
Triple-digit gains.
Crude climbs.
We're there to help our audience find new investment ideas.
The market still has room to go up.
Nightly Business Report is the longest-running business television program in history.
Weeknights at 10:30 on Arizona PBS.
You've heard of the fictitious Sharknado, but have you heard of the Firenado? Extreme heat from a wildfire in Blythe, California created a fiery vortex near the Colorado River yesterday evening. The Firenado pushed over and picked up the water, and heat from the vortex powered a natural waterspout.
A utility company has allegedly built weather technology that can help predict wildfires. Pacific Gas and Electric has a system designed to save lives and protect property from damage. According to KCRA, the utility plans to install 200 weather stations in Northern California counties. The systems will be placed where wildfires are the most prevalent. This technology will give residents extra time to evacuate and find shelter. The company plans to release the product by the end of the year.
We've been under consistent pollution advisories this summer, and low air quality can impact our national parks. A new study from Iowa State and Cornell universities examined over 20 years worth of data on pollution at 33 parks, including the Grand Canyon. Visitor numbers dropped about 2% when ozone levels increased slightly, and dropped over 8% when air quality was significantly bad.
And a high pollution advisory has already been issued for the valley tomorrow. This will be the 9th advisory for the month of July.
Beside the pollution, get ready for the thermometer to go over 110 degrees. Lauren Sheeler is here with the forecast.
So we're currently sitting at 96 degrees here in downtown Phoenix right now. Some nice cloud coverage behind me, as you can tell, bringing with it just a nice light breeze as well. But the thing that's really going to be sticking with us persistently over the next couple of days is heat. Now we're going to see this in not only places like Phoenix, but throughout the entire southern half of our state as well. Of course, typically up north, we do see those cooler temperatures due to that elevation difference, and we did see that today. We saw 84 up in the Grand Canyon, 72 up north in Flagstaff, 94 out east in Holbrook, and 85 in Payson. Now honing into the valley, if you can hold off from taking a hike tomorrow or heading out to golf, it might be in your best interest. Elevation is certainly not going to help us out tomorrow. We're seeing a high of 108 in Paradise Valley, 107 in Scottsdale. Same goes for Mesa. A little cooler out east in the Eastern Valley, but still a little rough. 105 over in Fountain Hills. Same goes for Apache Junction. In terms of precipitation, we're seeing a whole lot of isolated storms nearly dodging Phoenix as they make their way throughout the entire of our state, but we are tracking about a 20% chance of rain showers for Friday evening if you're heading out to the Diamondbacks game against the Colorado Rockies. As you get settled in around that 6:40 p.m. game start time, you're going to be enduring a nice 105. In terms of your 7-day forecast, our lows are still in those upper 80s, but again, that heat is going to persistently stick with us. Take a look at your next work week, that high at 111 on Sunday, and then we're on the rise in our highs, 114 on Monday, Tuesday at 115. So stay cool if you can. For Cronkite Weather, I'm Lauren Sheeler.
Music programs all around the state are slowly starting to lose funding.
But that isn't stopping one music school from striking a chord with students across the valley. Next, how the Phoenix Conservatory of Music is encouraging students to continue their passions in the arts.
I like working for Cronkite News because it gives us the opportunity to find a different angle on the same stories that every other news outlet is covering across Arizona. As students, we have the opportunity to cover issues in all across the state of Arizona.
It gives me a good chance to sharpen my skills, improve my skills, learn the techniques in a newsroom and in the programs and teamwork and technology, getting me prepared for the real world. And at the same time, I think we do a great job, make some great stories, do great journalism for the city of Phoenix and the state of Arizona.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. Join us each weekday at 5:30 and 10 as we bring you the top newsmakers who impact the state. We cover the stories in depth that shape and affect our local communities, and we take the time to ensure that all voices are equally heard. For more than 30 years, Arizona Horizon has been your voice and your source for what matters most, right here on Arizona PBS.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
Over half of Arizona schools do not have substantial budgets to support the arts. That according to a State Department of Education study.
Reporter Andrew Christensen went to the Phoenix Conservatory of Music to find out how they're promoting the right chords.
I received a first-hand experience of what it's like to be a student at PCM, where students practice and produce music. Whether students sing or play an instrument, there's something for every kid interested in music.
Piano, drums, guitars, a few of the instruments students at the Phoenix Conservatory of Music use in their rock band class. PCM offers group classes and private music lessons to teach students how to create, record, and produce original music.
We have some extra vitamins that I didn't anticipate when we started this program that really have been impactful. And that is that these young people, other than just finding people to make music with and collaborate, they're finding their tribe.
PCM also offers the chance to produce music. The school has produced 2 CDs of original content.
So it wasn't until that my teacher decided to pair me up with another one of her students who could sing, did I learn that the spotlight's not always about me. The spotlight needs to be on them. So coming here, it's helped me to accompany not just one, not just two, but a whole ensemble and a band.
For Gabriela Ramos, she has learned to step out of her comfort zone and become confident enough to work with an audience in different musical environments.
Most of my goals are just to create music that makes people feel something that I can say in a nonverbal sense. So like in the instrumentation, to communicate with an audience.
PCM's college prep program was awarded the nation's highest honor for extracurricular arts, and they offer subsidized tuition to students from low-income families.
There's a whole batch of mentors and big people who truly care about the outcome, so it's community and it's family based, and that makes all the difference.
In the future, PCM hopes to develop their audio production program and bring on full-time staff who will track and analyze the growth of the program. In the Broadcast Center, Andrew Christensen, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, a former inner-city school teacher talks about his experiences in the classroom and how chili peppers can help raise your metabolism. That's on the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next NewsHour, to mark what would be Nelson Mandela's 100th birthday, we explore his newly published Letters from Prison. That's Wednesday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.